Welcome to the FDL Presents the Zach Rocheleau Podcast, and today it's like this episode was literally just gold, just ups and downs, and the moral of the story was life is not perfect. We are not perfect. We will never be perfect. And we can try our best and learn from every single situation, become self-aware, and understand what to take from each situation and not let it define us. And I'm interviewing today KrissyMae, and you guys might know her as the owner of Doughnuts Deadlifts, and she is a serial entrepreneur, owns 5 businesses, and more importantly, she is a philanthropist. She is a full-fledged philanthropist. She believes in giving first and foremost. And what I want you to take away from this interview today is first, why Krissy, having a very strict mom and a wild dad growing up, actually set her on the roller coaster, what has been her life so far, and how it has also been a blessing and a curse in hindsight. The second is what made Krissy become sober in 2013 after years and years of abuse of alcohol and drugs. Honest to God, when she started talking about this and got deep, she literally shared so much. It was, if you watch the video version, you're gonna see my eyes get really red and watery because we both got very emotional. I just can't wait for you guys to hear this. It's truly, I couldn't imagine being in her shoes, and I can't wait for you guys to hear the story. And lastly, why Krissy is a multi-millionaire, and she's not scared to give it all away. So before we begin, please give a 5-star review before we start. It just means the world. It helps so much for us to grow, and I'd appreciate it so much. Please leave a comment below on who we should have on the podcast next. I want to bring value to you guys. You gotta let me know who you want me to interview, and we'll make it happen. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Protein Cookie Company, Enlightened, and One Bars. Let's get into the episode. All right, so I want to welcome you guys to yet another episode of the FDL Presents the Zach Rocheleau Podcast, and I am so excited about today's guest. You guys might know her as the founder of Doughnuts Deadlifts, but I know her personally as KrissyMae, and she is one of the nicest individuals I've ever met in my life. She is the definition of a sweetheart, and she's the kind of person I just want to give a hug in every moment of my day. So hugs. Hugs are the best. Hugs are the best. So I just want to welcome Krissy on. Thank you so much for coming on, Krissy.
Thank you for having me. From what I understand, I'm one of the first.
You are one of the first, and yeah, you are. I mean, I'm honored that even though this is so early on, that you took the time out of your busy schedule to come on the podcast.
Of course. Because hopefully I can help you build it.
I appreciate it. I mean, that's what's all that. See, this is a lesson for everybody listening very early on. Paying it forward is a real thing. Mm-hmm. It's a real thing. And I'm fascinated by that mindset of paying it forward, and the fact that so many people have paid it forward for me to be able to be where I am today, and I want to pay it forward to you guys. And that's part of the reason why we started this podcast, because it's literally just interviewing people that are in the abundance mentality, that pay it forward and want to see you guys succeed and want to see everybody else around them succeed. They want to grow the pie rather than taking a slice.
Exactly.
And I love that. So just know Krissy, obviously you can see she's one of those people. And the first question I start all interviews with is something that, nowadays it's more prevalent. So when we first started in the fitness industry, blogging was a big thing, but now all of a sudden social media takes over, and it's this portfolio of so-called surface level, but then there's these people that balance it. They're able to do surface level, but then they go deeper, and then they tell a story, and then they build a loyal, value-based following that they can help make a change in their lives. And there's a purpose behind their account. So I wanted to know from you, why would I follow KrissyMae? Or if somebody stumbles upon your account, what would be the reason why they should click that follow button?
I am really big on captions. I'm notorious for my captions not matching my pictures. And I will post any picture I can to get to write. And the reason I post on Instagram is to be able to write. And it's very rarely that my posts are about the picture. I like to post pictures that grab attention. But I also know how to bring my audience in, not using my body as well. I can post a picture wearing the ugliest Patagonia sweatshirt you've ever seen in your life, and it'll get the same likes as me in my bikini. And I think
that's how you know you're doing it right.
Right. And that's because of how engaged I am with my audience, and they know the person that they're following. The biggest thing with Instagram is I'm a writer. I was in journalism from 14. I wrote for my high school newspaper from 14 to 18, and writing is where my passion lies. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people on Instagram where every single caption I post has a purpose. I never post just for the sake of posting. I'm also one of those people who doesn't care if my Instagram following grows. I don't care. I'm doing just fine with where I'm at, and I want to reach more people as possible, but the point of my Instagram is not growth, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I think it gets to a certain point. Like, I think with where my following's at, I think we're perfectly fine. I'm looking at engagement.
Right.
I'm looking at if there's a call to action. Yeah, I'm looking at comments 100%. I just posted a picture of somebody who left a very hateful comment on one of my posts, and I screenshotted it, and I talked about how this is not how you have a debate, or how you don't so they challenged my faith. They challenged my mission in life. They challenged me as a person. And They used terrible words like the C word. I hate that word more than anything. Calling me all these names when they were trying to get their point across.
Right.
And so using that as an opportunity, I screenshotted it. It's not something that's going to get a ton of likes but what it did get is 300-400 comments in the span of an hour of people supporting me.
Supporting you.
Oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. Yeah. And I know I can't go to bed. They do. And it's they were just saying the nicest things and just saying wow, why would somebody ever say that about you? And I'm wow, I'm doing this right.
Right.
It doesn't matter that I got a certain amount of likes. It matters that people get an emotional response when something happens to me. And that means that I've affected them at some level that actually puts them in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And that's where we share. And when you say captions, I'm a captions person now. Writing is it's therapeutic.
Absolutely is.
I've fallen in love with it because I didn't really write that much growing up, but I've always been a super visual person. So I can take words and create a visual picture very well. And I just love the whole storytelling. Storytelling's everything. It's super cool. And it's a challenge. Can you take words and create a mental picture? That's when you know you're a very good writer or an emotional response.
And luckily for us, social media has allowed us to tell stories through pictures and videos and words now. And it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It is. And some people abuse it. They're surface level. Yeah.
I think most people abuse it.
Yeah. So it is what it is. But it's obvious. And that's the biggest thing with this is we want our following knows it's obvious. They know those people. They know it because they see what the real thing is, and then they can relate it to that. Right. So that was awesome. That makes a lot of sense, obviously. So I'm fascinated also with childhood. I am a big believer in the experiences that we have and the way we are taught. So I see kids all the time, and it's so cool. You think of the peekaboo, you look at the little kid and you look at the mom and she's going peekaboo. And then what does the kid do? It mimics it. They mimic it. And I'm fascinated that if you were to say cuss words all the time in front of your kids, they're going to start saying it. They mimic what you do. If you treat a woman, or if a father, you sees the way you're treating your wife, and your kids seeing that, they're going to subconsciously see that. It's all of those things. And so I want to ask you, what does your childhood look like? What did you kind of take away from it that you think in hindsight, like I was talking to Danny Lear from Caffeine and Kilos, and he was talking about like, I didn't realize how important my childhood was and all the life lessons I had until probably a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fascinated on like what you can think back on some moments in your childhood that actually allow you to see the world in the way you do today.
I'm going to preface this with something.
Okay.
So I'm in a very delicate emotional state right now. I've been really big on Instagram about my health problems I've kind of been having going on all year. I got diagnosed with 3 separate conditions, and I haven't been able to eat very much the past couple months because of it. So I'm tired and I'm hungry and I'm financially stressed with my hospital visits. So I'm a little emotional right now. So if I get emotional, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Oh my God.
I had a very unconventional upbringing. My parents are the 2 type of people that probably should have never been married. My mother is the most benevolent, kind-hearted woman on the planet. I don't think I've ever heard her say anything bad about anybody. I don't think she's ever done anything wrong. I don't think she's ever broken a rule. And then I have my father, he's been on my podcast, and anyone listening who listens to my podcast has heard the man that raised me. He's completely insane and he doesn't know it. He is an addict and he doesn't know it. He's an alcoholic and he doesn't know it. And he's also the most loving man on the planet. So being raised by him was chaos. And my parents had no business being together, and they got, divorced when I was fairly young, and it was absolutely for the best. And I'm happy they're divorced. They remained like close friends all through my upbringing. So I was born in Hawaii. My parents met each other in the 80s doing triathlons, and I was born directly into like athletics and sports. So that probably explains a little bit about my athleticism. I'm sure we'll get more into that later, but I was born in Hawaii. We didn't have any money growing up. I'm not going to say I was bullied, but I was a young white girl in Hawaii, and I went to school with no other white kids. So as you can imagine, my mom needed to get me out of that environment. So she moved us to the States. And then it was soon after that my parents got divorced. My dad had this quest to be my best friend, not to be my dad. So it started when I was, probably around 12, and there was no rules, and I was allowed to do whatever I wanted, and I was allowed to go out, and I was allowed to do really grown-up things other 12, 13, and 14-year-olds weren't allowed to do. And that was only when I was at my dad's, and then I would be reprimanded for them at my mom's. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of confusion and back and forth where I didn't know how to act because things that were okay with my father weren't okay with my mother, and the other way around. I was very confused until I was about 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was allowed to party with my dad, and drugs and alcohol were bad with my mom. And I was just raised all over the place. And I don't think that was anyone's fault. I think it just comes down to the fact that my parents should have never been married. Mm-hmm. So I possess 50% of my dad's characteristics and 50% of my mother's. I am an addict. I am an alcoholic. Suffer from mental illness. I am what a lot of people describe as insane. And I'm also what a lot of people describe as very honest, very transparent, very kind-hearted. So that's the backstory between like my parents and, the all over the placeness, because I think a lot of people still see my all over the placeness. Mm-hmm. I think it's very painfully obvious how I am all over the place. And I think it just comes from my upbringing.
And I mean, gosh, and I just want to say thank you for being so honest. Coming from somebody who has no idea what that feels like. I have no clue. So when I hear a story like that, my stomach turns because I think of you just don't know what to believe. You have no idea what is reality because you're constantly in this cycle of trying to, in the thought of you're going through that period where you honestly are not self-aware because you have no idea how you're supposed to see the world. Exactly. And so in every moment you're having to be okay, is this the real thing? Okay. And it's so extreme. It's so extreme. So
I almost got to the point where I felt like I was living a dual life when I was 14 or 15, because I would act one way the weeks I was at my dad's and a completely different way the weeks I was at my mom's, to the point where all my friends at school, there was a rumor going around that I was bipolar because of how differently I would act. And it was literally because of my parents. And it's just crazy that people were able to see it at that young of an age.
Wow. It's and so this would lead to it popped into my head was, so obviously you believe in, you are the people you surround yourself with. So like you seem like you'd be kind of the person that growing up, especially if you hung around negative people or people that did bad things, quote unquote, you would participate in those things, and vice versa. If you hung around people that were doing good things, you would do that as well. Right. And you would just kind of gravitate to those things, but you would be somebody that had a versatile personality. You could get along with anybody. Mm-hmm. I know that without a doubt. I
was the floater in high school. I hung out with literally every group. I played sports. I wrote for the fucking newspaper. I was a nerd. I was like popular. I was like all over the place. And that's because like I was just able to like be anywhere.
Yeah. And so in hindsight, like you can look at the way you were in high school and middle school and having to figure out all of these things, you're actually able to now look at it in hindsight and be like, maybe that was an actual good thing that happened to me, because now I'm able, and you just like, I'm just making an assumption. Like, obviously you wouldn't wish that upon somebody, but a lot of the things we don't wish upon us in life actually turn out to be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And now you have the ability to be able to meet anybody where they're at, no matter who they are, because you've seen all types of the spectrum and you can relate to them. You can speak their language and let them know that they're not alone, no matter if it's somebody who was raised in a traditional household or somebody that had an alcoholic parent. And I mean, am I right, or am I? You want to add on that?
I definitely feel like I've been through like all points of life, and I know it's like, so just to give you more background on my dad, he's a gambling addict. He gambled away every single thing him and my mom had several times and had to win it back. He gambled away our house. He lost his own house. Just chaos, like all the time. And like, it was constantly like this, like up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. Like, and we never knew what to expect. But because of like all this shit, sorry, I have a potty mouth that you probably
No, you're fine. You're fine.
My dad put us through. We met like so many different types of people and so many areas of their lives and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I have been poor and I have been filthy rich. I have lived in my car and I have lived in a mansion. Granted, like my life is very like rapid cycling with all this stuff. And I think because I have been in so many situations, good and bad, I am just so able to relate. And I would never judge anybody for where they're at. If you're a raging addict alcoholic, like I once was, like I'm in remission right now, but like if you're still using really hard and that's just where you're at and you're not ready to be sober, like then just be there right now. And like, I think that since people know, I would like never judge on anyone's place. Like, I don't care if you are, on food stamps, like you have the same worth to somebody who makes $2 million a year to me. Mm-hmm. And I just think, since I know what it's like to make $30,000 a year, and I know what it's like to make $1 million a year and everywhere in between, I just feel like so connected to everybody that I meet. Because I feel like whoever I meet, I just want to be like, I've probably been where you're at. Like, let me help you. What can I do to help you? Yeah.
And I want to say, from somebody from a bird's eye view, it's so freaking obvious. And anybody that I talk to, I don't like, it's funny. Like, I've never mentioned your name to anybody without them smiling right away.
Oh, you're making me cry.
I'm so serious. Like, I remember, so like, Amanda, she's one of your new coaches. Amanda, she's a good friend of mine. She's a sweetheart. And like, I mentioned your name and all of a sudden, like, we're talking and she smiles like right away. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like the people that, like, you're a person that's worth fighting for, like 100%. And I think that should be everybody's goal in life, is to live a life that people would want to fight for. And that's the whole thing with, like, if you had something going on in your life, people would take time out of their day to want to protect you or to help you and to be there for you, because you're a selfish person, because they know you do the same for them.
Right.
They know that. And it's just like one of those things, like, it's like, I'm scared to ask, like, do you think without that upbringing, you'd be that kind of a person?
Nope. And as chaotic as my life was from 8 to 20, it's like, I wouldn't change it. There's nothing about my upbringing I would change. I never once have wished my parents were still married and I grew up in like a family. I've never wished that, because that's so like foreign to me. And my parents, despite my father being completely insane, he's so loving. Like, he's loved the shit out of me forever. And like, he's made his mistakes as a dad. It happens. And there's just nothing about it I would change, because it is entirely responsible for who I am. And like, I know it's entirely responsible for like the 5 years of issues I went through to be who I am. Mm-hmm. And I know that like all of this is a part of who I am. And I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. It's like, you just, like, when people say that, like, but you just never know, like, the experiences that you had, like, they're a blessing and a curse, but
exactly,
it depends on how you see them, like and that's why I love that question, because like, I'm so fascinated. Like, I want to be the best parent ever. I'm so fascinated. Like, I love kids so much. And so
you should listen to the podcast with my dad.
Oh my gosh. I definitely will right after this. It's just like, I just know that in my heart of hearts, I know I'm going to be a good parent. I know I'm going to try so hard, and I know how important it is. Right. And I just see kids as this huge void, where nowadays kids are coming into this world as seen as like this thing rather than an end in themselves.
Right.
Like, how many kids go about their whole lives not understanding what love is, or understanding what it means to love somebody, or to do something out of love, or what the right thing is.
Right.
They're searching for meaning their whole lives. And thus they look for attention in ways that doesn't make sense. And then this bad happens, and it makes me sad. It's super sad. And I just want to be able to, like, I want to adopt. I want to have a big family, but I do want to adopt.
That's really interesting.
Why? What do you?
I have there's 2 reasons I don't want to have kids. I don't want to pass on what I have to another person. That's the main reason. It is every single mental illness and autoimmune disease and my alcoholism and addiction, obviously, which I consider a mental illness, I will pass on. And I just don't want to do that. I don't know. That's my main reasoning. I'm also terrified of pregnancy, which is why I want to adopt. So that's interesting that you want to adopt as well.
And so that's super fast. I'm doing it because I want to give somebody a new start. Like, I want to give somebody a better, like, and I want to teach my kids that they're no better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. Because you were born here, or we bring somebody into our family, that means nothing. That means nothing. And honest to God, I want to adopt a little black baby. Like, I don't see color. Yeah. Like, I want that. Like, I want to have my family understand that everybody is an end in themselves.
Right.
And the moment you see them as a means to an end, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
You're doing it wrong. You're seeing them to get a result for you. Thus, you are a very selfish person. Mm-hmm. But as a result, if you see somebody as an end in themselves, I guarantee you'll probably get what you wanted.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. You'll probably get what you wanted. And it's funny, like, whenever you were telling your story and reflecting on your childhood, in my head, the whole time I was thinking, I was like, gosh, Krissy's going to be a great mom. I swear, like, the whole time I was thinking it, I was like, wow, like, Krissy is going to be a great mom, because you you see it. Like you
Yes.
see it. You see how the way you were raised actually it just becomes what you become. Like
Right.
it's how you see the world, and then it just it is exponential over every experience that you have in your life. And like perception is everything. So like the way you see the world is the way you see the world, and something good could be good to somebody, but something good could be bad to another person.
Someone else, right?
And the way you see it. So, and I can imagine, especially with everything that you've gone through with addiction and things like that, like to most people, that would seem like a terrible thing. But now it's actually turned into something good that you were so relatable and you can help others.
Yeah. And again, it's something else I wouldn't ever change. And I'm lucky to be alive with what I went through. And there's lots of things I've done, and I did them because I'm not proud of, that I'm still forgiving myself for. But again, like me doing those things is largely responsible for who I am as a person. And it's also, I'm notorious for giving everybody, all my employees like to say I'm the queen of 1,000 chances. I won't fire anybody. I won't fire people. Like I don't.
This is interesting. So I want to kind of talk about this. This is fascinating because I am super fascinated on the fact that if we had businesses where you couldn't fire somebody, how much better of a leader would you be? I'm just like thinking about it. Obviously, once you hire them, you can't fire them. So your hiring process would get a lot better. And also you would become a better leader and make them better because you just can't get rid of them. It's kind of like having a kid. So
what's interesting about what you just said is that's already my business model, but I just didn't know it until you told me.
That's super cool.
Okay. Everybody knows I only hire friends. And a lot of people hate that I do that because there's a lot of people who want to work for me that will never have the opportunity because I don't know them personally. I don't know why I do this. It started as an accident. And the next thing, now you look around and it's all of Krissy's best friends. Every single person that works for me relocated to Reno to work for me. 25.
Wow.
25 of them.
You have 25. Wow. That's so amazing.
That's between 5 businesses though. Now, granted, like the gym and Black Iron Nutrition obviously overlap, and like Doughnuts and Deadlifts and Elo overlap. So, but yeah, 25. And to this day, I've only ever fired one person, and that's because she stole from me. And even when I fired her, I couldn't do it. It was the weirdest thing. And I was still justifying what she did leading up until when I fired her. I was like, maybe she was having a bad day. Like I was looking for the reason as to why she stole, because I was like, there's no way she would steal from me. There's a reason she stole from me. And like, it is my cross to bear, man. Like, I still don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but you could burn my building to the ground and I would find a way to tell you that it was okay and we'd just get another building and start fresh.
Okay. So this, what popped in my head is, do you think this comes from your relationship with your dad? Yeah.
Probably. There was no getting in trouble.
Yeah.
With my mom, I was in trouble all the time. I was always grounded. My phone was always taken away. I couldn't go out. But with my dad, like, I would do something really bad and he'd like buy me something. It made no sense.
Yeah, the reward system there was no.
And that's why like rewards to me don't like, there's no, I don't know. It's really weird. Like I'd never like expect a reward for anything I do. And like I work for free a lot and everyone tells me it's an issue. And I think it just comes back to my upbringing. It's really strange.
Are you familiar with the book, The 5 Love Languages?
Yes, but I've never read it, but I am familiar with it.
You're familiar with it. So would you say you are words of affirmation or acts of service?
Always an act of service if I can be, but when I can't be an act of service, like I immediately divert to words of affirmation. Meaning like I have 500 remote clients. I can't do a lot of acts of service for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when they need something from me, like I can, like a client will be like, my food scale broke. So sorry, I couldn't weigh my food. So I'll go to Amazon and I'll send them a new food scale.
Wow.
So like it's $10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? $15. I don't give a shit. It's $15.
Yeah.
And so like, that's my way of just helping them out to show them that I care.
And
so
they'll
like,
never forget it.
Yeah. And that's another thing about me. I never forget anything anyone's done for me and anything anyone's not done for me. On the contrary, I never forget that. Do I hold it against somebody if someone tells me no? Never. Absolutely not. I would never hold it against somebody for saying no, but I always remember. But again, like there's instances where someone needs my help and I can't act on it. So I need to like pep talk them. And I'm also like notorious for my pep talks.
Oh, nice. I'm not going to put you on the spot.
They're always text messages and they're like this long.
Oh man, I'm gonna one of these days I'm gonna be like, all right, Krissy.
Just text me next time you have a crisis. I got this.
All right, so this is gonna like I know a lot of people, if they don't know your story, I guarantee a lot of them do. So you had a lot of ups and downs, so to where you are today. So you had a lot of traveling, you had a lot of moving around, you had a lot of like moments where you did really quote unquote well, and then you had relapses and things like that. But then in 2013, that was the moment.
I know where this is going. I was hoping you were going to bring this up.
Yeah, I just want to know, like.
Oh wait, no, you're talking about something else.
I'm talking about in 2013, whenever you decided to stay sober. Okay. I wanted to know
bring up what happened in 2014, which I'm also prepared for.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
I just want to know what was different. Like, what was different about that time than any other time?
How open do you want me to be?
I want this to be as not surface level as possible.
I'm going to start backwards.
Okay.
I'm going to start at the end and then talk about what happened leading up to it.
Okay.
I've woken up in hospitals plenty of times, mostly because I hit my head or passed out or got alcohol poisoning or nothing, never major. There was never a life-threatening hospital visit from alcohol in all my years. I had overdosed on drugs several times, but there wasn't like a wake up, holy fucking shit in the hospital moment until this day. Mm-hmm. On May 28th, 2013, I woke up in the hospital in Huntington Beach, California, and I was having alcohol-induced seizures, and I thought I was going to die. So I was in and out of consciousness that whole day. I couldn't remember how I got there. I couldn't really remember what had happened. I remember getting told that they had found a lot of date rape drugs in my system, as well as drugs I had chosen to put in my system. And basically, once after about 36 hours of alcohol-induced seizures, I was 25.
Wow.
24. 2013. It was right before my 25th birthday. Yeah, it's right before my 25th birthday. And the doctor told me he had never in his life seen somebody so young have alcohol-induced seizures, because alcohol-induced seizures are a sign, or what? It's a symptom of when you're coming off of alcohol. It's a symptom of alcohol withdrawal. So basically what had happened leading up to that point, inside of 5 days, I ended up in San Diego. I don't remember how. I don't know how. I woke up on the street in San Diego. Didn't know how I got there, what I was doing. Got a ride back to Huntington Beach, and I was so terrified because nothing like that had happened before, that I proceeded to go to downtown Huntington Beach and get as annihilated as possible.
This was when? So when you woke up on the street in San Diego, this was
4 days before. 4 days before I woke up in the hospital. Yeah. Inside of that weekend, I was raped twice. and continued to mask it with alcohol and drugs because I didn't know what to do. I had never put myself in a position where I had gotten so drunk I couldn't get a man off of me. I've always prided myself on being strong, and I'm not a small person, and it was the first time in my life I was too intoxicated to get somebody off of me. And so I actually went to the hospital after the first time, and because of how it was handled, because I was clearly drunk when it happened and the hospital didn't take it seriously because I was so intoxicated, I proceeded to go straight to the bar from the hospital and get as fucked up as possible. And so it was apparently 4 or 5 hours after that, I had called my best friend needing a ride from another guy's house who had forced himself upon me. And that night, CK said that I put so much cocaine in my face and so much alcohol in my system, he thought I was trying to kill myself. I don't remember if that was the case or not. I don't remember anything. All I remember is waking up in the hospital, and it took me realize what had happened the 4 or 5 days leading up to that. And that was it for me. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die of liver failure. I didn't want to get fucking raped when I went out. I didn't want to, I didn't want to wake up in San Diego on the street anymore. And I just told myself, like, enough is enough, dude. You've been doing this for 10 years. You've ran away from everything countless times. And I got sober, and then I ran away for the last time. And I quit drinking, and I told myself Southern California was the worst place on earth for somebody like myself, which it is. And every time I go there, I get anxiety being there. And then I moved to New York City, and I never drank or used again. And I quit AA a couple months in. And I know you're religious, and I completely respect that. I'm an atheist. And because of the whole God notion in AA, and my dad actually the minister, which is a whole other conversation. But so it like confused upbringing.
Oh, absolutely. Parent, that can cause,
atheist parent, religious parent. What the hell is going on? Yeah. And so I'm not going to say I'm an atheist. I'm agnostic. I would say I'm an agnostic now. At this point in time, I was an atheist when I was in AA. And so it just didn't align with me, and I stopped going to meetings, and I'm still sober to this day. So that was my last straw moment. It was one of those really, really heavy last straw moments. And that's why when people ask me, what did it, other addicts, they're like, what did it take to get you to change? And I kind of just want to be like, I always say you'll know. You'll know. And everyone's experience is different. And just because someone never gets to where I got to, it doesn't make their pain less than mine. Mm-hmm. So our pain's the same. Let's take somebody else who's an addict or an alcoholic. Maybe they were never homeless or like me, or maybe they never wound up, raped or in the hospital or next to dead, but they lost a job and they lost a relationship. That pain is equal to mine. Just because my experience was more severe, the pain's the same. Mm-hmm. And that's what
it's relative.
Right. And it's not a dick measuring contest. I know so many addicts and alcoholics out there who think it's a competition of who was the most fucked up. And I'm like, we were all fucked up. It doesn't matter. And that's my hardest thing with other addicts and alcoholics is it's some sort of weird contest. And it's never a contest. We're supposed to be in each other's corners, so that got a little heavy, but
no, that was amazing. And I'm just God, I felt myself if people are watching the video, I know you guys could see my eyes starting to get really red. I literally that was that you just can't I try and feel what that feels like. I have no clue. But all I can do is just feel my gut turning, being oh my gosh, I could I'm from what I know, trying to figure out what that feels like. I have no clue, but I just I just look at the person you are today, and it makes me smile because you've won. You've won.
Yeah, and one thing about me is ever since I've been little, failure is not an option. I just don't know what it means to fail, mm-hmm. And I've always just been such a fighter, and like part of why I'm such a fighter is for like other people like me, you know?
Do you think that last moment was so close to failure that you were like, whoa, like because of that mentality that maybe it just like, that was it. Like that was like the closest thing. Like you told yourself, because death, what is a failure perceived that you did because you thought you were going to die, and you're like, oh, I failed. But then when that comes back around, you're like, no, like I'm going to win. And
yeah. And I was honestly at that point, I had failed my fucking family so many times. Like my mom, the nicest person on earth. Like I failed her so many times. And that was the other thing. Like she begged me to stop doing it to myself. And she told me, she's like, you're going to die. Like you have to stop. She watched me destroy myself for 10 years straight and just sat there and watched and couldn't do anything, you know?
So when you, how's your relationship with your mom right now?
We're best friends, and my dad.
That's awesome. That makes me happy. So when you hear of a parent like your mom, and they have a kid that's going through things like this, and they put a lot of it on themselves. And I know your mom probably puts like, my mom's exactly the same way. And she wears a lot of it on her sleeve. She takes responsibility. So what does that conversation sound like with your mom? Whenever you let her, I know you let her know, like you don't think she's responsible for it at all.
Yeah. We talk about all that a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And she's just like, I mean, she's so proud of me. It's crazy how proud of me she is. And like, honestly, a lot of the things I do, I still say to myself, like, all right, what would mom think of this? You know? And like before, like she follows me on everything. My whole family does. And like, I have to like pre-think about those things. But no, I mean, there was another really interesting part about my upbringing I didn't mention, and I'll give you the backstory really quick. My younger sister, who's a saint, of course, she's I was problem child and she's the do-gooder, and you're polar opposites. She actually had open heart surgery when she was 4 and 6. So because of that, she was the baby and she was given a lot of attention, and rightfully so. She was recovering from open heart surgery for 2 separate times. And she was always very small and delicate. And I was never neglected. That's not what I'm getting at. I was never neglected. But given the circumstances, a lot of the attention was on her for a long time.
Yeah.
So like, I think I kind of acted out because of that, because that's when the problem started. And my mom knows that. And my mom also knows that like, I come from, my entire dad's side of the family is addicts and alcoholics. She knows I get it from him, So like, and that's what I like try really hard, because I get a lot of emails from parents. Parents follow me on Instagram and their kids are 16, 18, 20, having the same problems I did, going through some of the same things I did. And like, it's just, again, one of those things where like, that's kind of a slippery slope for me because I don't know parenting, but like my mom knows I didn't get the bad genes from her, which is really helpful. Now, my dad doesn't think there's anything wrong with him, and he thinks addiction and alcoholism's made up, And so like, he's delirious.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what's so hard is like there's 2 types of parents. There's and it's like either you have a parent who's totally at fault who thinks they aren't, or you have a parent who's not at fault at all, but is totally blaming themselves.
Yeah.
And like, that's what you get. And like that's what's so hard. And I just feel like as a parent, you just need to be so self-aware.
That's everything.
Everything you do, you need to be,
everything.
Yeah. And again, like, I think that so many of us have so many issues. We all have issues. My issues I will have till the day I die. I have just learned how to manage them. And like, it's so important to know that you have to take care of your issues. Like, you don't just get to shove them into the corner anymore. You got to do that when you were 18, 19, and 20. But like, once you hit 23, 24, like, you're a grown up now and you have to deal with your shit. And like, that's just part of it. And I think that you shouldn't have kids until you deal with your shit.
Yeah, because
exactly. You know where I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when they come in, they're going to take on your shit too, because you're going to be a spitting image of them. They're going to model you. And if you don't have your things together, especially when things are going crazy with growing in a family and raising kids, it's not as perfect as it is when you don't have kids. So If you can't even get your life together whenever you don't have kids, like, you should be cruising when you have kids.
Exactly.
Like,
and the best, go ahead.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
The best parents I know are the people who like know themselves. Like my friends who are just like down to earth and they just get it and they've taught me things. They're the best parents.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have friends who have like really great jobs and they're very like adult for like their like where they're at financially and like where their life is at. It's very adult, but them themselves, I'm like, why are you making children? Oh my gosh, it's the worst thing.
I know.
You know?
I know. And that's funny. That's like one of the criteria that I have is I want to live a life that everybody can see that I'm going to be a great parent.
Yeah. And
that's what I want.
And you know what? I said this the other day. I had a guy buy his wife a nutrition package with me for Christmas. And like the way he talked about her, he was like, yeah, she's gained 50 pounds and she ate it, but she's still the sexiest woman on earth. And like,
oh my God.
I even like looked at Ben, my husband who's sitting right next to me. And I said to him, I said, there's nothing sexier than a man who loves his wife. Isn't that ironic?
It's everything.
Yeah. And
that's your teammate for life. Like literally life is this never, I mean, not never ending, but it's this long road that we're just navigating together. And we need to figure out what is the best thing at that time. Okay, if something comes into our lives, we work together on it,
right.
Make each other better. We have each other's backs no matter what. And we're going on this life and we're equals and we get equal happiness out of me getting happy. And if not, it has to be more whenever she's happy,
right.
I'm happy. And that's how it's got to be. But everybody has this MO like, oh, it's about me now. Like it's about me. And it's like, no, like when life becomes not about you, you've won.
Yeah. And I feel like that my life right now is about my 25 employees. Mm-hmm. Where I'm at in my life right now, I'm so far past making a lot of money because I've done that. Mm-hmm. I don't care anymore. And it's such a good feeling. And like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. As like a young entrepreneur, like,
absolutely, it's a way to gauge everything.
Make money. Like that's it shows that you're fucking good at what you do. Mm-hmm. And like for me, making money isn't about being able to have or buy nice things. It is literally from a dollar sign for me to show, look at how good I am at what I do. And
you're speaking, yes, 100%, 100%.
And it's not a bragging right. It's not even about being the best. For me, it's about like, I am adding fucking so much value to people's lives. And like, that's what, like with Black Iron Nutrition, it's like life coaching. You know what I mean? Like we are making you fucking like better, not just making you look better. And so like, yeah, you get it. I mean, so like as a young entrepreneur, you should want to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. But with where I'm at right now, I've done that. I've done it. And I've gotten my shopping out of the way and my world travel. I'm going to fucking 40 countries. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And so like right now I'm like, okay, I'm turning 30. I've kind of lived my life and it's time to like hunker down and build this empire. Like I got all this shit out of the way when I was younger.
Yeah,
and right now, all I care about is giving raises to my employees. And I just got to give them all a shitload of Christmas bonuses. Everyone's getting a raise on January 1st. And I am fucking pumped because everyone shows up for work happier than shit every day.
Yes. So and they know you have their back 100,000 million %.
Oh,
I love it.
With everything. Yeah.
And I realize the feeling that you have that I'll have eventually when I have my first kid, but whenever you bring on your first team members, like them being able to become full-time with you and make their living. Like I have 2 of them that live with me right now. When we moved to Austin, it's a crazy story that one of them was actually one of the beginning members of Caveman Coffee. It's actually my VP now.
Well, is it Mr. Dudian?
Yes, you know Steve.
Has he told you our background?
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot all about that. Yeah, he's told me about it.
He picked me up in New York City with his face burnt to shit. And I had never met him before. And he had these scabs all over his face. And I was like, who is this guy? I'm like, you work for Caveman Coffee? Because I was like one of their athletes or ambassadors or whatever at the time. And he picked me up because I was like hanging out at the event he was working at. Mm-hmm. And so he picked me up and he's like, oh yeah, I was French pressing and it like the hot water spewed up into my face and burned it. And I was kind of like, that's actually kind of badass.
That's so
you
crazy.
have French press scars on your face, sir.
Wow, you know you love coffee when.
Yeah, and we hung out all weekend and became fucking bros.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So he literally lives with me in Austin. He met me in October of 2016, and he reached out to me like, dude, like, I need something that I can really believe in. I love what you're doing. Like, I just want to help. And so he helped for a few months, and then we figured out a way to get him profit sharing and a lot of things we were doing. He launched his own all his own things that we were doing to where he could profit share and provided value that way. And so now fast forward, he is like my brother. Like, he's going to be in my wedding. Like, he's helped this so much. Like, it's unbelievable. And then I have a 22-year-old videographer who left
I read the story on that.
Oh my gosh, just left his senior year of college just took a risk, told his parents, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm doing this, and moved to Austin. And he's so fascinated. I mean, I know he wouldn't mind me saying that, but he almost took his life. Like, he almost committed suicide. And now to see him feeling that he can make a big difference in the world. And
go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, just giving him the platform that he's so fascinated in mental health, and now he talks about it on a daily basis. And to see him now, it's so cool. Like, earlier today, he was like talking about like he values his time now, and like he was talking to the IRS, and like the IRS was like messing up with something that they were supposed to send him. He's like, well, like, this is what I charge for my time, and I believe I'm like yes, like, let him know what you charge for your time, like that your time is valuable. It's like so cool. But like you said, you see them evolve, and you feel like, oh my gosh, like, I paid it forward. I gave them an opportunity, and it's not like I did it. They're running with it.
Right.
They're running with it.
It's cool, man.
It's like the best feeling in the world. Like, you just know, like, and it's kind of like having kids. Like, you start to see some of the tendency that you had. They start to kind of match that a little bit, but they make their own way of it, and they start seeing the world differently, and then they start applying it, and then they start teaching you things, and you're like, whoa, like, this is becoming full circle. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is a family. Like, this is legit a family.
And you know what? This is how I have like always hired I know my strengths, and my strengths are enough for one person to have them. So every person I hire has to have my weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And, you know what I mean? And like, hold on, let my dog in real quick.
Okay, you good.
Come on, it's cold out there, huh? One of my 47 dogs. Want to say hi? Yeah.
Oh, look at the puppy. He got a sweatshirt on?
He's got an RTD2 sweatshirt on.
Oh my goodness. Look at you, so special.
Okay, that's it? You done? All right. So yeah, like, everybody I hire has to have my weakness. And like, every day, my general manager for Doughnuts Deadlifts, Sarah, teaches me something. And at first, I was getting very annoyed with her. She kept asking me all these questions about everything I wanted to do. She just would question it. And I was like, what the fuck is Sarah's deal? Why does she have to question everything I do? And every idea I have, she like points out all the issues with it. So this whole time I've been thinking to myself, like, I should not have hired Smarty Pants. Because like, Sarah, do you know who Sarah Alkayal is? Mm-hmm. Miss Smarty Pants. She is known as one of the most intelligent people in strength sports. And I hired her for Doughnuts Deadlifts. And finally, like 2 days ago, I posted a thing about needing a full-time videographer. I actually saw your post, and I said, okay, I'm just going to fucking post the same and see what happens on Instagram.
I love it.
And I have 97 applications I have to go
There you go. Like, it's just amazing. First off, with social media, like, if you have a loyal following, like, I think we got like 100 and I think it was 135 and like 24 hours. Like, it's crazy.
It's awesome. So I posted that, and she immediately texted me and was like, and she starts just like questioning it. And I finally was like sick of her questioning everything I do. And I said, what is your deal? And she said back, if I don't poke at all the holes in your ideas, you're not going to know where the weaknesses are, and then you're not going to fix them. So she told me.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, me and Steve get in arguments all the time because he's that way. We're on the verge of like fighting.
You are so much like me. You are I'm not grounded. I'm up in la la land all the time with my brain like this and 47 million ideas going everywhere. And I'm like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And my employees are going, shut the fuck up and let's work on what we're doing right now. You fucking maniac. 15 projects going on. Shut the fuck up. And so and it sounds like something tells me you're like that. And
it's bad. Like, it's bad.
Kind of like let's calm down and like worry about what we're doing right now. That's a great idea. Let's hold off on it.
And he's like his demeanor is like super calm, like never raising his voice or anything like that. It's always like, Zach, have you thought of it this way? And it's like this calm demeanor, like, I want to punch you in the face. Like, because like, yeah, maybe I didn't think of it. Dang it. Why didn't I? And in my head, I'm like, dang it. Why didn't I think of that? Like, dang. And I get mad. But then I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to think of that. That's not how I'm wired. And that's why he's on the team, is because he can prod those things. And I gotta get better at appreciating that. And it's one of those things you just get better at it. You self-awareness.
Yeah. And that's literally like all she had to say to me. And I was like, oh, you're fucking great. You're not going anywhere. Like, keep questioning me, because like she has made me realize about like I need to be better with this or that, or like that, or I rush these things. And I don't know. I just have I think the best thing about my team is they're not afraid of me. And so many people are intimidated by me, and I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm tattooed. I honestly don't know why. And people tell me all the time I'm one of the most intimidating people. I mean it when I say I have no idea why.
Is it people that have never met you before?
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody meets you, there's no way in hell. Okay. I mean, I could see it on the surface level. I mean,
yeah, just because of what I look like. I also have resting bitch face pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's that, but I mean, there's a little bit. We're past the point where I can say that now.
I have some sass.
You do have some sass.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
You got a little black girl in you.
I know. It's because I live with you. It rubs off on me. So yeah, and like my employees aren't afraid of me, and like they're not afraid to talk shit to me. Like if I'm doing something that I shouldn't, or I said something I shouldn't, or I said I was going to do something and I start diverting the other way, they're like, wait a second. And they call my shit out, and like, it's good for me. Like I tell them to, I'm like, oh, call me out. And they do. And it's like, I think that's why the ship runs the way it does. Like we all are like, and I think that it's because we're all so close and we were all friends beforehand. And a lot of people ask me like, do you run into issues working with your friends? And I'm the one that runs into issues, not them. They respect me as boss, but it's my own issue that at times I think they don't. That's like up here in my own head. Yeah. And that's one of those issues I deal with, because I tell myself like, I'm like their best friend. They don't even think of me as boss. Like they don't take me seriously, but they do, and like, again, that's just like me working on my mental illness shit up here with my negative self-talk. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's cool. We have a good thing.
No, that's cool. And I've loved to see, I've loved to see it grow. And, it's just one of those things. Like I definitely look up to everything you're doing, and anybody I ever talk to, there's nothing but good things that come out of my mouth about you. And it's just one of those things. Like I admire your journey. I admire where you've come from. I admire all those experiences you've had. I think to myself what I have been able to, like, I literally, like, while you were talking about it, I'm like what I've been able to come out that other, like, I don't know. Like we have addiction in my family. It's on my father's side as well. And so I started
like you of all people know it can manifest so oddly.
Oh, unbelievable. It's sneaky.
Right.
It's so sneaky. And because I was aware of it, I've noticed that I just have to be so aware of it. And I have to, that's like anybody that knows me with what we do. If we're going to do something, we're going to do it. Like, for example, with this podcast, like we have 15 interviews in like 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
That's how you have to do the first one.
We just do it. Like, and if we're going to do it, we have to create the opportunity cost. I have to do something that makes me committed. So like I create a large opportunity cost. It's like, well, what am I going to do with these 15 episodes? It's like, well, no, you're going to make them amazing, and you're going to get them out to the world, and you're going to get the momentum started, and you're going to see what happens. And that's it. And so that's how I've been able to do it with my whole life is if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to become addicted to it. And I'm going to become the best at it. And I'm going to use it that way. And it's just, I know that if I didn't start surrounding myself with better people or giving myself, I was honest to God, I was addicted growing up to two things. And I'm going to be transparent. Like I was a playboy. Like I was that kid. Like I was.
Really?
It was bad. It was
That's
really bad.
Really surprising for me to hear for some reason. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No,
I think that I think people who are attractive have all gone through a phase. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, carry on.
It was bad. And it was one of those things like I became obsessed with the game. And it was like one of those things like if my friends told me I could not get a girl, I would be like, okay. Yeah. And so I would get the girl, but then the satisfaction was out of telling my friends and seeing their reaction.
Right.
And being like, oh yeah, cool. And so like I became addicted to that. And like, you just see it like it's not to the extent yours was, but it's just one of those things. Like it's just something that I'm very aware of, and everything I've been in my life, I can catch myself. I always have to ask myself the question.
Yeah.
Is this a good addiction? Is this a good addiction? And I always have to figure out, because then it becomes more than an addiction.
Right.
I'm like addicted to this, like what we're doing right now. And I need to be aware of it whenever I do start having a family and I'm in a relationship, understanding that, figuring that out. That's going to be hard. I know it. Like I know it 100%. And I'm aware of it. Yeah.
My relationships, so I'm at the gym from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then I come home and work for 4 more hours at night. And I'm very fortunate that Ben allows that. And it doesn't bother him. And out of like, if it ever caused the smallest iota of issue in our relationship, it would be gone so fucking fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's how amazing. You know you're with the right person, because my last relationship of 2 years, he would tell me to stop working and I would laugh in his face.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, okay, guy, you see the house we live in? You know, like whatever, you think I'm just going to stop working? Like, and like, I didn't care. I didn't respect him because like my career and my work was way more important than him. But with Ben could tell me I had to sell donuts and deadlifts and I would sell it for $1. I'd be like, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Like and that's how I know I'm with the right person. I would give up everything for him. And that's how you know, man. That's
amazing. Yeah. Cause that's when people ask me that all the time. Like, when are you gonna first off, it's a hell yes. Or it's a blatant no. Right. Like, is it, oh my gosh, I see this person, I see who they are. I'm like I lose my breath and I'm like, holy, like, oh my gosh. Like, if it's not that, it's a no.
Yeah. And not like, exactly.
If there's any like, oh, what do you think of her? Oh my gosh, she's beautiful. It's a no. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like if she's not like, oh my gosh, like I can't even like fathom seeing myself without her.
And you know what's so funny? Prior to meeting Ben, I didn't think this existed. I thought there was something wrong with me because like, for the sake of transparency again, I think that a lot of people know, it's not a secret I was previously married and very unfaithful to that person. And that Instagram is the reason my relationship ended with that person, because I couldn't keep anything in my pants. And I was on my worst possible behavior for a while. And I married that person and I thought I loved that person. And at the time I thought I loved that person. And I was just like, Krissy just has issues. That's why I'm cheating. And then I realized no one's been the right person. And like, I spent every relationship not giving a shit. And then it's like, I meet Ben and I'm not even kidding you. Like everything was like different, like colors were different. And like all of a sudden, all these little tiny things like that, like these negative things, like this is going to sound really weird. I'm terrified of death. Terrified. I don't like talking about it. I won't go to funerals. I act like I'm insensitive to it when people pass away, when I secretly, because I'm just weird about it. And that's just how I am. So I have really bad insomnia. And part of my insomnia is because this is going to sound so fucking morbid and I promise it gets better. I used to lay awake all night thinking about death for years. that the fact that I was going to die one day, and everybody I knew was going to die. So and it was only at night I would think like that. And it wasn't even negative. It was just like thoughts. And then I would just lay awake and be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So when I met Ben, all those weird thoughts and fears of death went away.
Wow.
And I am no longer afraid of death, and I don't think about it anymore, and I don't care. And it's not like I have no feeling toward it, where it used to be like really sad and scary. And it's because I know I get to spend the rest of my fucking life with Ben Harkleroad.
That's so
you know what I mean?
I'm jealous. I want to have that feeling.
The weirdest thing, I'm known for having a wandering eye. Like, even when I have remained faithful the rare times I've remained faithful in a relationship, like, I'm still like very like, look at that fucking guy, look at that, or look at that girl. Who knows, man? You know what I mean? I dabble. And so like, but with Ben, it's never like that. Like, I haven't like thought other people are attracted. It's like, it's really weird. Like, he's completely changed me as a person.
You're at peace. You're at peace.
He was like,
nothing was, and it makes so much sense. Like, nothing was ever good enough in life. Like, growing up, like, there was always that next thing. There was always okay. And
my whole life I felt like something's missing. But you know what? And like, you know what? People always say, this is the classic line when you meet your person. He didn't complete me. He taught me how to complete myself. Fuck that. Ben completed me. Ben was my missing piece that I needed to find, and I found him, and he completed everything that had been missing. And so like, I can say that, and people pull him or her taught me how to complete myself, and then we're together. And that wasn't my case. I was clearly missing a piece of my puzzle, and then I found him. He wandered into my gym one day on tour, and then he quit his band, and here we are.
Wow, that is so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I honest to God, like, in my head, I'm like, dang, like, I'm so jealous.
Well, you're going to meet him at the Arnold. Nobody got to meet him last year because he was still in his stupid band on tour, being all famous and shit, but he quit. So he'll be at the Arnold.
That'll be epic. I'm so excited for that. Well, this is funny. Like, you were talking about death, and
I know we kind of like, this is like, you know what I love? We haven't fucking talked about nutrition or training once.
I know, that's my goal. I didn't want to. I know everybody, like everyone that I talked to, where there was like surface level things that you went through in your life, and then there was everything about nutrition. If people want to find out about nutrition, they can go to either of our websites and they can learn much of that. That's fine. That's not the purpose of this. I wanted to know you as a person and how you got to where you are today, and the person you are that I admire so much. So I'm personally doing this podcast selfishly because I want to get to know each person that I look up to so much more, on way more than a surface level relationship.
I have an interesting question, because this has happened to me. So my podcast is really similar. Like, we touch on training and nutrition, but for the most part, it's very like obscure things. Nobody knows about these people. So it's only happened to me once. What are you going to do when you find a person who, I'm being serious, you'll find one who has nothing to them other than training and nutrition? Because I have found one person like that, and it was the hardest podcast, the point where I didn't even want to release it.
Ooh, I mean, I'm going to, that's going to be tough. Like, and I'm self-aware. Like, I know I'm good at prodding, and I can kind of like, I know I know I've always been able to do that. I've always been able to be in a conversation with somebody, and they're like, I just met you like 10 minutes ago or an hour ago. I don't know why I'm telling you this, or why I feel comfortable telling you this. Like, I just know I've heard that so many times in my life. There's always got to be something. Like, I know, like I'm going to think of it as like a challenge. Like, I'm excited. Like, when you said that, I'm like, I'm excited for that moment.
So
like,
I really pride myself on being able to get anything out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm pretty, like, because of, I'm so like open, that people feel comfortable being open with me. And I legitimately think that this person is just a machine. Like, maybe they're not a human, and they aren't, because this person is strong as all shit too. Like, incredible athlete, and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just thought it was
that's them. It was
the only time I've had someone on a podcast where I couldn't, no matter what I did, get anything out of them that wasn't training nutrition related.
Wow. And then you just got to walk away and smile and be like,
So I just rolled with it, and then I asked a really inappropriate question, but I'm not going to say the question, because then everybody's going to know who it is, and everybody knows.
It's all good though. We'll
Actually, I'm just going to fucking say the question, so that way you have it for when it happens. Okay. I said to this person, what would you do if you got in a car accident tomorrow and you were paralyzed from the neck down and you could never lift again?
Oh my, yo, that's intense.
And their answer was show up at your front door. That's the answer I got.
Oh my, like what?
Now, okay, so this person is an incredible athlete. I'll give her that much. So that works for her.
Hey, to each their own. To each their own.
That's the question. That's your question.
And then that answer? Whew.
Right. I was hoping for just like a life-changing answer.
And then you get that, you're just like, okay.
But that was probably her way of slapping it back in my face for asking the question.
Of course. Well, this is going to sound funny because we were talking about death, and I end every podcast with this question, and it's actually, the stage is set, and it's actually at your funeral. And it's like, when you were saying that, I was like, oh my gosh. But then you got to the end, you were like, well, okay, I'm fine with it now. So I was like, all right, I'm going to ask. If you were still like crazy about it, I wasn't going to ask it. I was going to be like, oh no, I'm not going to say it.
Could you imagine if I was still terrified of it? I was like, oh my God.
I'm like, I'm so early on in this podcast and I can't ask it. But the question is, I'm going to set the stage first. So today is your funeral. There are thousands of people there mourning the loss, but celebrating your life. And there's somebody on stage ready to give your eulogy. You have no idea who they are. It could be somebody from your family, or it could be somebody you met 3 times. They're going to start the eulogy. What do you want? What is the life you want to live to where that eulogy is how you'd want it to sound?
This is going to sound really, really, really weird. The entire reason I am an entrepreneur is so that I can be a philanthropist. And
that's amazing.
I personally make millions of dollars a year, and probably like 350,000 of that hits my bank account. Wow. For all 5 businesses, that's about what I pay myself. And because I give all my money away, and it's just what I do, and it makes me really fucking happy. And I don't want to be known as a business mongol or an entrepreneur. I don't, there's people out there who that's how they want to be known, and they have entrepreneur written next to their name, or their, and like that's what they want to be known as, the business person, the money maker. Look at all this fucking money I made. Look at all these businesses I started. I've done those things. I have 5 businesses and a nonprofit organization. How many times do you see me on social media being like, I have 5 businesses and a nonprofit organization? Never, because I don't think those things define me. The businesses are how I make money to give to people that need it. And so absolutely. I donate a large percentage of my income to the LGBT community. I donate a large percentage of my income to recovering addicts and alcoholics. I donate a large percentage of my income to the National Park Service, because that is a huge part of my life as I own an outdoor brand. I'm a backpacker. And so I want to be known as a philanthropist. I don't even give a fuck if the name entrepreneur is attached to my name at all whatsoever. Like, I don't care. And so that eulogy needs to talk about how much I gave back and how much I was able to give and the change I was able to make. Not how many people I employed, not how many businesses I was able to start, not how many millions we made. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, I'm proud of what I built, and I fucking love that I get to employ 25 amazing people, but it's like all for a way greater good. It's all for shit way bigger than ourselves. And and that's
there you really go.
That's what it comes down to.
You brought it home right. It's way bigger than ourselves.
And honestly, I remember being fucking 19 and being like, I want to be so rich I can give all my money away. And here I am.
That's, gosh, this is so cool. I love your answer. That was amazing. It just like, this podcast has made me realize, like, we're literally like spitting images of ourselves. Like, it's unbelievable.
Well, you know what's so funny about you is like there's just always been something. Like, we're very different, obviously, you and I.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton in common, but like our brain waves are definitely on the same length. And I read your Instagram caption, and I'll be really honest. The first time I met you, I didn't know about you. You were so nice, and that's basically all I had to say. I was like, oh, he's so nice, but I don't think I would ever have anything. Like, I can never see myself being friends with him. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I don't know. He's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's like a hard pill to swallow. And like, you're like a very easy, like the nicest, you're like the nice guy. And like, I know I'm nice too, but I don't know. So like, I wasn't sure at first, but then after being around you at the Arnold, I was like, he's super cool. Like, and I like had fun hanging out with you. And as I started to read your Instagram captions, I was like, okay, this guy gets it. I was like, he gets it. And he genuinely wants to help people. And that's something I can get behind. And actually the other day, I mentioned I was going to be on the podcast, and one of my employees was like, oh, you should ask why he doesn't give any recipes away for free. And I said, he doesn't give fucking recipes away for free because he's trying to make a business. And he values his business that much that he doesn't give his recipes for free. And I said, so what? He gives so much other shit for free. Go pay the fucking $9 or whatever it is for the recipes.
It's nothing. I know. And that's the thing. I get that a lot. And I'm like, well, you don't look at, I answer every single one of my DMs. I answer all my comments. I engage all the time. And I use the money from what we make in order to free up that time so I can engage. So it's a devil's advocate. If I give away things for free, I'm sorry, you're never going to know me. You're not going to know me because I'm going to be doing all the tactical things because I'm not going to have a team. We're not going to be able to generate all this. Like, I wish I could give it away for free. Like, and that's something that I was like, whenever you were talking about wanting to give everything away for free, I don't ever look at the bank account. Like, I never look at it. Like, I get updates like every couple of weeks. Like, I don't ever I don't care about that kind of stuff. Like, and I eventually, and we're working on it right now. We're creating our own nonprofit, and I want to be able to give away 50% of everything I make to the foundation that we create. Yeah. Like, that's something I want to do. And like I want it to be around kids. And that's something that I think there's a huge void. So I just want to take this moment right now and just let you know how much I appreciate you. And it's one of those things when I had goosebumps pretty much this whole interview. It was just so cool. And I felt myself either feeling like, oh my gosh, like feeling like because like you're my friend, like wanting to, like, while you were talking about these things, like want to give you a hug, like want to like, and I'm like stuck over here with like my hands behind my back being like if I don't like hold them back, I'm going to be like this the whole time. And, but no, I just felt myself feeling like it was either I was like, man, I just want to give Krissy a hug right now. Or it was like me nodding in agreement. Like, yes, like hell yes. Like I agree 100%. Like we're like thinking the same thing. And I'm just so excited for everybody to listen to this episode because it's real. Like if anybody listens to this podcast, it's the fact that nothing is surface level. Like we're keeping it real. And there's never going to be a moment where you're going to be listening to this podcast and be like, oh, well, this is like, no, like this is real life stuff. And we want to be relatable no matter where you are in your life and let you know that me and Krissy have your back. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. And that's why we started this. And so this moment right now, I just want to say, Krissy, I admire you. You are somebody I like seriously look up to so much. And I'm so honored that you took the time, even though you've had such a wild day, and to make this work. I was
going to have to flake, and I was so sad.
We were going to make it work. We were going to make it work. So I just want to take this moment, and I know everybody's listening. It thinks the same thing. It's just thank you so much. It takes so much courage for you to be so transparent and to tell a story that's worth listening, and that your story definitely is that.
Thank you for thinking of me and having me and saying a bunch of nice things to me when I'm being really mean to myself.
No, you're good. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things like, I'm here if you ever need anything. I'm pretty good at pep talk text messages too. Yeah. So this is a family, and anybody that we bring onto this show, we know that this is a family. Like, we're all a family, no matter what. And it's the abundance mentality. It's how are we going to work together to make this world a better place? Let the world know that they're not alone, and give people that outlet, that whenever they do have that moment where they're talking down on themselves or they don't think they're good enough, to let them know that we've all thought that way.
Right.
And that we can and will be good enough. It's just knowing that you always have to know that we're all struggling, but set that vision knowing that you're going to get through it no matter what. So thank you so much, Krissy.
Thank you so much.
It means the world to me. And thank you, everybody listening. It's truly an honor. I value your time and your attention more than anything. And I just want to thank you so much for listening or watching. This is yet another amazing episode. Can't wait to hear you. Can't wait to share another amazing story in the next episode. So thank you. God bless. And we will see you guys in the next episode. I'm going to end it right now. I'm going to actually give you a call after.
On the phone?
On the phone. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I just wasn't sure. Okay.